You may be eating the exact foods that grow visceral fat every day, the same foods that doctors like me have to deal with in the emergency room. The scary thing is, many of these are advertised as heart healthy, low fat, or healthy breakfast, but in reality, they increase fat around your liver, heart, and pancreas. In this video, I will name the worst foods for visceral fat, and I bet at least 3 of them are sitting in your kitchen right now. Last week, I met a 60-year-old patient. He said, "Doctor, I do not eat fast food, do not drink alcohol. Why do I still have visceral fat?" When I asked more carefully, I discovered he started his day with low-fat cereal, drank boxed orange juice, ate yogurt labeled 0% fat but full of added sugar, and in the afternoon sipped on packaged whole grain crackers. This is the problem. The enemy of visceral fat today is not just fried food, but also products labeled as very innocent but stripped of all fiber, added sugar, added refined oil, and salt. Many older people think they eat healthy because they do not touch burgers or French fries, but they drink 2 glasses of boxed fruit juice every day, eat white bread and salty snacks. The result is visceral fat still increases steadily like a pension, but not fun at all. Today, we will go through the worst food groups for visceral fat, understand why they are dangerous, and more importantly, what you can replace them with without feeling like you are sacrificing your entire eating life. If this is your first time on my channel, I am Dr. Saul Whitman, Chief Medical Officer at Northern Institute for Society Wellness, with over 35 years treating thousands of patients with cardiovascular disease, atherosclerosis, stroke, and hypertension. My mission here is to accompany you, explain everything honestly and clearly, so that every time you open the refrigerator or stand in the supermarket, you feel like you know what you are doing with your body, not just eating by habit. And now, let us get into the video. Number 1, refined starches disguised as healthy. The first group is refined starches dressed in healthy clothes like soft white bread, sweet muffins, cereal cookies, bagels, frozen waffles, and many colorful breakfast cereals for older people. Essentially, these have been stripped of almost all fiber, vitamins, and minerals, leaving only easily absorbed starch that runs straight into the blood like liquid sugar, causing insulin to spike and promoting visceral fat storage, especially around the liver and abdomen. You can imagine your digestive system like a conveyor belt. The softer and more refined the food going in, the faster it slides and hits the blood like a wave of sugar, forcing the pancreas to overwork continuously. When that repeats every day, the body starts storing excess energy in the visceral fat warehouse. Like your house has too much stuff, so you have to stuff it temporarily into a closed room that nobody wants to open. Imagine it like this. If white bread were a person, it would definitely be that friend who comes over, eats, and leaves immediately, but leaves you with a whole pile of bills to pay in your liver and blood vessels. Many people say, "I only eat 1 piece of bread." But the problem is that bread appears every morning for 10 or 20 years. Visceral fat does not need you to eat a lot in one day. It just needs you to repeat the behavior consistently. So, to avoid the trap, practice reading product labels. If the first ingredient is refined wheat flour or enriched wheat flour, that is not a good friend of your waistline and visceral fat. Instead, gradually switch to 100% whole grain bread, whole oats, whole sweet potatoes, and importantly, keep portions moderate. Because even good food eaten double, the body cannot applaud. You do not need to give it all up overnight. Just decide that this week, 3 mornings, you switch from pastries to oatmeal or eggs. That is already a big step forward. Number 2, sugary drinks and healthy fruit juices. The second group is sugary drinks, but in older adults, the biggest culprit is not just soda, but also boxed fruit juice, bottled tea, energy drinks, sports drinks, and even those very harmless looking vitamin water bottles. The problem with liquid sugar is it enters the blood extremely fast, no fiber to slow it down, no chewing needed, so your brain does not register that you just ate something, leading you to drink extra calories but still feel hungry and continue eating as usual. Liquid sugar is like a secret guest sliding into the house through the back door. Nobody notices, but every day it brings a few more boxes of fat to place around the liver and belly. Visceral fat loves liquid sugar because it is almost converted directly into fat if the liver is already overloaded. With the boomer generation, Many people have the habit of drinking a big glass of orange juice in the morning and think it is a good choice for the heart and vitamin C supplement, while in reality, the sugar amount in one glass of orange juice can be equivalent to, or more than, a small can of soda. Only different is it is labeled natural. Many boxed fruit juices are also added with sugar and preservatives, but on the box they only print pictures of beautiful oranges and apples, so we rarely suspect. If you like fruit flavor, eat the whole fruit instead of drinking juice, because fiber in fruit helps slow sugar absorption, keeping insulin from spiking. A simple rule for older people is, if what you drink has an obvious sweet taste, but you did not personally add fresh fruit to water, then chances are high it is feeding visceral fat. And if you are used to soda, you can start by switching to filtered water with lemon slices, a few cucumber slices, or unsweetened herbal tea. Your taste buds will need time to relearn, like a radio, switching from loud music to soft music. At first, it feels strange, but then more comfortable. Number 3, low-fat products full of hidden sugar. The third group is the group I personally find most dangerous for older people, which is products labeled low-fat, zero-fat, light, like low-fat yogurt, low-fat salad dressing, packaged low-fat cheese, low-fat mayonnaise sauce, the kind that supermarkets always place right in front of your eyes. When they take out fat, flavor disappears, so to keep the food tasty, they have to add sugar, flour, modified starch, or thickeners, all things that visceral fat loves. So you accidentally switch from a naturally fatty food that keeps you full longer to a low-fat food that makes insulin go up and down like a roller coaster, causing the body to store more fat around the belly, even though total calories do not change. Many large studies in middle-aged and older adults have shown that within the same calorie amount, the group eating more low-fat but sugar-rich foods had significantly higher visceral fat compared to the group eating moderate natural fats but low sugar. Imagine your stomach like a sofa. Good fat is a soft pillow that helps you sit long without getting tired, while sugar in low-fat products is like a poke that makes you stand up and look for more food after just a short time. A small micro joke: our generation was scared of fat for several decades. Now science turns back and says, sorry, it is not the fault of good fat. Belly fat is mainly from sugar and refined foods. Instead of choosing low fat, choose the original version. Full fat but no sugar, then you add fresh fruit, a few nuts, or reduce according to your taste. At least you control what is going into your body. And if you fear total calories, reduce portion a little instead of choosing products that replaced fat with sugar. Number 4, processed meat and frozen fast food. The next group is processed meat like sausages, bacon, ham, pepperoni, packaged cold cuts, and frozen fast foods like boxed pizza, frozen lasagna, breaded fried chicken ready to just put in the oven. These usually contain the most dangerous combo for visceral fat, which is saturated fat, trans fat, very high salt, hidden sugar in sauces and batter, along with countless additives for preservation and coloring. The combination of bad fat and refined starch increases systemic inflammation, causes fatty liver, and increases insulin resistance risk, ultimately leading to visceral fat thickening layer by layer like a coat nobody wants to wear. These types of meals are also usually very poor in fiber, making the feeling of fullness not lasting, making you easily eat more during the day. In terms of comparison, if the body is a highway, then processed meat is like a convoy of heavy trucks, carrying oil, carrying garbage, emitting smoke. Wherever it goes, it cracks the road surface. Over time, blood vessels and liver will deteriorate faster. Many of my patients say they only eat a little bacon every morning, but when adding up sausages, cold cuts in sandwiches, pepperoni on pizza, and frozen food, the amount of processed meat in a week can be very large. Of course, no need to live like a monk. If on special occasions you eat a little bacon, it is fine. But the problem is many people are eating them almost every day, in breakfast, lunch, and even snacks. The goal is to bring them from daily habit down to occasionally and gradually replace with fresh meat, fish, beans, or at least less processed choices with less salt. Number 5, sweets and desserts after meals. The next group is desserts and sweets that many people use as small rewards after meals, like cookies, pastries, donuts, pie, candy, milk chocolate. especially in the evening. The problem is not just calories, but timing. When you eat a lot of sugar after a big meal, insulin is already high. You add another push, making the body have almost no choice other than storing some in the visceral fat warehouse. Joking aside, visceral fat is like a warehouse that is always open, and every time you eat sweet dessert after a carb-heavy meal, you are asking the body to transfer a few more boxes of sugar into that warehouse. The more times like that in a week, the more the warehouse expands. And one day the doctor tells you that you have fatty liver, high blood sugar, or worrying atherosclerotic plaques. A small micro joke. If you always tell yourself, I only eat dessert a little for fun, then visceral fat after hearing will laugh and say, thank you, because that fun is exactly what is stored long term. A practical way to reduce harm is to set a golden rule for yourself. For example, only eat sweet dessert maximum twice a week, or if eating, reduce starch in the main meal so the total insulin burden in the meal is not too high. In addition, you can gradually replace with fresh fruit, unsweetened yogurt with some berries, or simply a cup of warm tea, still giving the feeling of ending a meal, but not sending more invitations for visceral fat to come stay. Number 6. Packaged salty snacks and nighttime eating. The last group that many older people fall into is packaged salty snacks like potato chips, industrial buttered popcorn, salty crackers, crispy cookies, and the habit of snacking in the evening while watching TV. These usually contain refined starch, refined vegetable oil, heated many times, and lots of salt. Combined, they create the perfect storm for visceral fat, because you are loading empty calories at the time the body needs the least energy in the day, while increasing inflammation, while retaining water, making weight the next morning increase and waistline feel tighter. Furthermore, when eating while watching TV, your brain does not pay attention to the feeling of fullness, so you can eat a whole big bag and still not feel like you ate a lot. One way to start changing is not putting the whole snack bag on the table. If already eating, put a small portion in a bowl, put the rest away, best in a hard-to-reach place, because humans are very lazy. Just 10 seconds harder, and many times you stop taking more. Even better, replace packaged salty snacks with choices like unsalted nuts, fresh fruit, carrots, celery, or simply a cup of unsweetened tea. Sounds less appealing, but after a few weeks, your taste buds will adapt, like a radio switching from loud music to soft music. At first a bit strange, but then feels more comfortable. The most important thing is not that you never touch these foods, but the frequency and how you let them appear in your house. Visceral fat does not come from one donut, one can of soda, or one piece of white bread, but from you considering those things normal every day for many years straight. If you look back at your kitchen, refrigerator, and snack cabinet now, you will see a fairly honest picture of visceral fat appearing in the future few years. The good news is you do not need to be perfect. You just need to start eliminating 1 to 2 worst food groups, replace with less processed versions, less sugar, more fiber, and better fats. Every time you choose differently, you are sending a small message to your body that from now on, we are not building more visceral fat warehouses. After 3 months, 6 months, looking back, you will be surprised that just with small adjustments, waistline, health, and daily energy have changed so much. If you found this video useful, share it with your loved ones so they know foods to avoid or gradually reduce in daily meals, especially when our age is no longer in the 20s. Like my video so it gets recommended to more people, and subscribe so we meet again in the next advice about how to eat, how to live, so visceral fat is no longer a silent enemy. If you have questions about a specific food, for example, the type of bread you are eating, the type of yogurt you are using, or wondering if that food is bad for visceral fat, comment below and I will answer. And I am Saul. See you in the next video.